30th of January 25, and I'm just talking about this story and how we're coming to a point where we've got automation and artificial intelligence is going to make a lot of jobs obsolete. I mean, I don't know how many jobs, 70%, 80%, I'm just making it up, But, and at the same time, we've changed the demographic and got population growth, which we've not had for decades over the last 75 years, but especially the last 30, since the internet started, and now, especially over the last 5 years under Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak, which has changed Britain and the West forever the same. We're all going to be global South majority countries, just because that's what these people wanted. They didn't want to stay where they come from. For some reason, nobody asks why or whatever, or why. What continents do they rule any continents out when they're choosing countries? Do they rule 3.5 continents out? Are they the R word? In terms of countries they rule out. You know, um, yeah. So we've got these two things at the same time. We've got automation and AI are coming in just at the same time as the West, which seems to be high trust society, is highly desirable, whereas all the other countries, to the people who live there, seem to be, they have a bad impression of them, especially the ones who live in their own homelands. They seemingly don't want to live there. Beautiful warm countries most of the time. So we've got this automation coming down the line. So here we've got Aldi. You'll have no cashiers at all. I guess you'll still have security and self-stackers for a while. You might not even have that for a while because you've got to put a deposit down of £10 as you go in. So I'm guessing that's going to make shoplifting very difficult because you've got to use a card so they'll know who you are. So shoplifting's going to be very difficult, I would imagine. I mean, I'm totally in favour of this, and it's just innovation. And I don't know why they don't do click and collect in a moment where they've got lockers, rather than having to go somewhere and you have to, some guy, most of the time I think, comes out with a thing where you load up. It'd be better if they had lockers, but here we've got so maybe this will even do away with shoplifting, in which case you might not even say maybe you've got 3 security guards, you might just need one, I don't know. I mean, is this not what Amazon are also doing with their walkout shops? They've rode back on Amazon initially aimed to have 260 just walkout shops in the UK, but has since rode back on this figure. Well, Tesco operates just 4 hybrid checkout free get go stores. So Amazon not rolling it out. I mean, a £10 deposit seems a good idea to me. I mean, the other good thing about it is you're not having to wait in a queue and, to put your stuff out. Because I've wondered this for a while. Why can't you just go through with a shopping trolley, like at an airport, and it can scan everything? You don't need to put all the stuff through yourself or the cashier. It just knows. But here they're doing it. They can see what you're putting in your basket. So when does it register it? Does it register it? Do they put it all out at the end, or do they just go out? I don't know. But my main point is, just as we're going to become a global South majority with all the traditions and stuff, and Labour female MPs and SNP female MPs, their view is that all these people will take on board their views on women's rights, and LGBT rights, etc. They're not thinking that once we're a minority, they'll be seen as sort of supreme white views. Um, the views that Labour female MPs have got, native female MPs have got at the moment. And then they're talking, here we've got the Daily Mail, and it always makes me laugh about these people, because traditionally they voted Tory, now they vote Reform, but they're meant to be the ones behind innovation and entrepreneurship and all this, but any time there is innovation, they're all moaning about it. Oh, I want to go back to where I cashier this. Oh. But my main point is, just as we're going to become a global south majority, a native minority in the UK, there's going to be like 80% of the low skilled jobs are just going to vanish. I would imagine even at Amazon storage, someday it'll all be automated. And then you've got artificial intelligence, which is going to do all away with a lot of, I don't know, lawyers, accountants, I don't know. And then you've got driverless cars, so you might be doing away with all your delivery things, Deliveroo and all that. If you're not happy with Deliveroo's, the way it's changing the country at the moment, you can always not use that company, if you want to. But anyway, so when people are saying that we need all this for the economy, we need newcomers for the economy, and it's the only reason that really they seem to want them. They don't. I mean, Rick Cooper and Nicola Sturgeon aren't bothered about their views on women's rights or LGBT plus rights. When you sit the citizenship test, which is a load of rubbish, by the way. I mean, I had a look at it the other day because some lady in London, aged about 61, who of a certain type, was wearing lots of wigs. She was impersonating other people so that they could get citizenship. And she was charged with 14 cases. We don't know how many she's actually done. There was another case I remember where some lady was sitting a driving test for it, and I think it was 96 cases and she was Welsh, quote Welsh. So I don't know if she was just word of mouth in a pub or something that all these ladies she was sitting the test for, or others on another community way. I couldn't pronounce her name. It wasn't traditional Welsh. So I couldn't pronounce her name at all. Just to give you an idea. But yeah, I just wanted to show this because just as we're about to become a global south majority of a total mix, an absolute mix, so we're also not going to have any work, especially low skilled, and maybe even higher skilled. So at the moment we've got the politicians telling us that we need more and more people to keep the economy going, even though GDP's hardly went up over the last 10 years, when the population's went up faster than it has in the last 75, maybe 100 years. It's only went up about 1% a year or something. It used to be like 3% or 4% before the Great Crash of 2008. And GDP per capita, which Suella Braverman said in her speech yesterday, is what we should look at. And this is what I was thinking as well. Per person is sort of stagnant or going down even. And somebody else has said that we should look at income per person or something. I don't know, but just say if you go with GDP per capita, it's going down. I mean, all that matters is it's not population growth. All that matters, it doesn't even matter if we're decreasing. All that matters is people's quality of life is really good to a certain degree, and possibly even getting a bit better. But as long as it's really good, I mean, if you get an Apple iPhone, you're in quite a good situation, I would say. If you buy a new Apple iPhone every year, because you're spending money you don't seem to need if that's what you're doing. So this thing about growth is also it's like a Ponzi scheme, really. It's turned out. I've just checked Grok, Twitter's AI, or no, X AI, Elon Musk's AI. So I'm just seeing how will new technology affect the employment sort of spectrum, Goldman Sachs has suggested that up to 300 million full-time jobs globally could be automated by AI, implying a significant impact but not specifying an exact unemployment percentage. They estimate 18% of work globally could be computerised. But that's AI, Justin. That's not even talking about automation. I don't think. McKinsey Global Institute predicts that between 400 million and 800 million individuals globally might need to switch occupations by 2030 due to automation, suggesting a profound shift in job types rather than direct unemployment. They also mentioned that in the US, up to one-third of the workforce could be out of a job by 2030 if there isn't significant retraining or job creation in new sectors. But I mean, what I'm saying in that, I think Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg might have said that a lot of people just, we don't know what they're going to do because if there's so much stuff is automated and stuff, there might just be, it might just have to be entertainers on YouTube or something. PwC estimates suggest that 30% of UK jobs could be at risk of being replaced due to robots and AI. World Economic Forum predicts that by 2025, automation might displace 85 million jobs while creating 97 million new ones, leading to a net gain. But yeah, and I think Bill Gates and that are in favour of America and the West having the same migration pattern as we have at the moment. So it's a sort of double whammy, in my opinion. I'm not sure about that, if they are in favour of that. I think so though, because they'll be in favour of multiculturalism and that. So, and at the same time they're saying that Helena and all of it, any job, or they'll need to switch job, but I'm getting the feeling that it's going to come a point where there's nothing really, because you're probably even going to have robotic dustmen or dust persons, I should call them there. However, without these mitigating factors, the unemployment rate could indeed increase given its complexity. It's impossible to provide a single percentage. So it's not really giving me a real figure, but I'll just scroll through it so you can see what I've been asking it. In conclusion, while AI does pose risks to certain job categories, it also offers substantial opportunities for economic and job growth. Personally, I think only for a while, and maybe even long term, just for a few. Because all this time, I mean, if you think of what I just showed you about that supermarket, that's the cashier's gone forever, really. So that's that job gone. And personally, I'm not bothered about that, but what are they going to do? Traditionally, they've been women, but in Aldi and Lidl, they're usually men now, I've noticed anyway. I think it's because I've got such a good pay rate, like £14 an hour or something. But if you're doing away with even queuing in these places, and another thing I thought was interesting here that they talk about universal basic income might be needed, which I agree with. I think there should be a sort of a thing so that you can even try new things, even like this, doing YouTube. I would encourage everyone to try YouTube, or to become some sort of online, make your money that way. Yeah, I'm just looking through what I can't find out about universal basic income. Saying here, many jobs will not disappear but will change significantly. For example, retail workers might find their roles evolving from sales to customer experience managers. Well, how can they all be managers? Governments might need to enact policies like universal basic income. Personally, I think you should have that. Tax incentives for companies that retain human labour, or programs to support workers transitioning between careers. But as I say, what's going to happen? If we driverless cars, you might just get your deliver a meal. You go down to some sort of van and your meal's in a little box, it's probably still warm, you know. If you're not happy with Deliveroo, the way it's changed the country at the moment, you can always just not use it at the moment, you know. I know they've tightened up a bit, but not enough, probably. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say. And the other thing was, if you're worried about it, in my opinion, if you vote Green, Labour, or Plaid Cymru, Lib Dem, you need to vote Reform as a protest vote. On the one issue that I think is going to make us, it's okay to think it's going to make us a utopia, but personally I'm a bit anxious that it might be anarchic. I think any other thing I can use my logic or opinion to predict something, but I'm not allowed to on this at the moment, because we don't live in a free country, or I don't feel I can. Although Suella Braverman made an excellent speech yesterday. I would encourage you to look that up. It was at the Heritage Foundation in the USA. She's made that speech. Keir made a good speech, Keir Starmer, on last November about this issue, which I think could be even existential, really. I think women aren't going to like the future. So if you want to, all you can do at the moment is protest vote by voting Reform in council by elections, any elections. You don't get to vote for another 5 years on the general election. Labour and Tory are happy about that, so I would call that a dictatorship, really, but I don't agree with our electoral system. We should be like Switzerland, where we have referendums on single issues all the time. You know, why should someone like Ed Cooper come up with a big massive bill with all sorts of stuff when you should be asking the public, what do you think of this? What do you think of this idea? You could even make it instead of being a whip thing in Parliament, where Labour will vote for it and Tories will vote against it, you could make it anyone can vote whatever they want in the Parliament, you know. And you could take each issue at a time, and they're hardly there at Parliament because they're only there like 2.5 days, if that. They're there on a Monday from like 12 o'clock to sometimes 10 o'clock. Or the Tuesday, like they're from 12 to 4:30 if you're lucky, and then the Wednesday they're there to about 12 to 1 o'clock or something. Then Thursday and Friday, a lot of them aren't there at all. So, as Robert Lowe's shown you, because he's shown you how it should be by coming into Parliament and asking questions a lot. So everything's a mess. The whole electoral system's a mess. Yeah, all you can do is vote Reform at the moment on this one issue. Join YouGov and tick Reform for that in any polls. And also, what else? Yeah, and the YouGov polls, because sometimes about politics they'll ask you what 3 things are you worried about the most. Only pick the one that begins with I, and yeah, that's the sort of thing. And do the government petitions on any that you think are to your liking. Okay, that's all I've got to say for now for this. But I'm just saying that we've got this loggerhead, we've got this Ponzi scheme where they're saying that we need newcomers to keep the population growing, to keep, even though they bring all their grandparents and parents and the whole family tree, especially if they need something on the NHS, you know, lifelong or whatever. I think that the Southport killer of the 3 young girls, his family came like 20 years ago, and I think he's actually got 2 other brothers, I'm not sure, and one of them needs a lot of NHS care for some reason, I don't know. And it makes me wonder, is that why they came to the country, you know, because they came like 10 years after the war in Rwanda. And apparently Boris's government thought Rwanda was good enough to move people to there. It's a beautiful warm country. But I wonder if that was a decision for them to come in. Although it wouldn't even surprised me that that wasn't anything to do with it at all. They maybe only considered 5 countries. They ruled out 3.5 continents. Maybe you could say, you could wonder if they've ever been R when they ruled out continents. Why did they want to leave Rwanda 10 years after the war? I think the mother is maybe related to one of the government things, maybe her brother or something, or her uncle, something like that. So, I mean, have they not got money over there or something? Apparently he's a taxi driver here that, as usual, the mainstream media aren't asking questions. The court case didn't ask any questions. I think in cases like this, where it involves newcomer families, the British people have a right to know how the family got here, what reasons they got here, who approved it and why, how are they living at the moment or since that time, what's their history. I think we've got a right to know all these sort of things, because if they hadn't got in the country, these murders wouldn't have happened, the 3 murders. So, yeah, think about that, especially ladies, who vote Green and Labour, SNP, Lib Dem, etc. Yeah, okay, goodbye.